we have ourselves a semifinals. An absolute unadulterated barn burner. Bang-a-ranger. Spawning in the upper left-hand corner of Gresvan, we have the blue Zerg player for Dragon Kitesy Gaming, Dark. And his opponent in the lower right-hand corner in the red for the former Team NV is Cure. I can smell a good TVZ coming, and you know how I know already is that Dark's got a pool going before he's got a hatch going, and it's just a beautiful opening here. A beautiful opening. As we're at the start of this game, I will remind everybody currently in Twitch chat to hit the follow button, and if you're watching this on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Those are different buttons. You can hit both of them, but it's worth noting they're different buttons. I wish there was just one and you could do all the things, you know? That'd be great. So Dark is going to go for some lings first. Extractor's coming up. Wondering if there's going to be a roach follow-up, but it won't be very quick into roaches because the hatch went down before that gas. Dark does like his roaches, though. Cure's got the SCV going across, so he's going to be able to spot this. Should be able to spot the lings. Oh, this is nice, too. Those lings chasing the SCV for a little bit. Two of them splitting off. But that's going to allow him to keep the Reaper at home and know to make the Marine follow-up. Yeah, Reaper looking for the lings, but Dark smartly pulls them all back. Doesn't lose any of those lings. It does allow Cure to finish his base up, though, and it's not really what Dark was looking for. And it is just speed follow-up. No roaches on the way. In fact, no more gas being mined. So Dark's going into full macro after this, but I feel like Cure is already in a good spot this game. I feel like that's already a good start. I don't think Dark's too broken up about it. He hasn't lost anything, which is important. But didn't get the delay on the CC I think he was hoping for. I feel like if you're Cure here, you really want to check behind the mineral line to see if there's a roach warren. I feel like that's actually so insanely important to scout. And the fact that Cure hasn't been able to spot that is very detrimental to this game. He's got a third CC going down. I mean, I guess it's not going to matter too much for Cure because there is not a roach warren. It's just one of those things that, like, if you're against Dark and he goes for the early pull, you gotta check if there's a roach warren behind it. Ling's gonna come in now. The Hellions pop out though, and that'll be enough to push this away. Nice target fire there from Cure. I assume it was target fire to kill both those Lings. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe I'm giving Cure too much credit here, you know? Dark taking that third base, but there is a third CC already turning into an orbital in Cure's main. Dark is starting to fly ahead in terms of the workers, though. 40 to 28. He's just been pure pumping workers and queens behind this, and should be pretty solid in defense against the 4 Hellions here. Cloak Banshee's on the way as well, and I think that's a smart choice for Cure. Again, it's just Dark going into roaches off the back of this feels like such a possibility. You kind of just have to go for Banshees. You gotta respect the roach possibility. But this is pretty straightforward from Dark right now. He's getting out a few more Lings just to help push away these Hellions, but he's going to be on pure defense and pure drone production as much as possible. And I have a feeling we're going to see Dark try to just skyrocket up to 80 workers or so. And then we'll see this Roach Warren start to come into play. I wouldn't be surprised to see double Evo from Dark and go for a big 1-1 Roach Ravager max. That's kind of my guess as to where Dark is heading right now. We've seen him do that kind of build a number of times. It's a deadly build against Terrans. This is such a safe opening from Cure, but the timing of hitting with like a 1/1 Roach Ravager max can just crush a Terran who's trying to play safe in macro. Very difficult to hold. We've seen Dark kill the best Terrans in the world with it. And yep, there's the double Evo chamber. We do see 1/1 started up for Cure though, so Cure's 1/1's going to be a little bit quicker. That could give him a slight advantage early on. See if the Banshees can get any damage done right now. They're just kind of flying through, but they're going to get spotted here. Dark knows they're coming. Transfuse, pretty good ability. Hellions not out on the map to threaten him. I'm a little surprised the Hellions aren't out here, actually. I feel like if you're doing this with the Banshees, you kind of want the Hellions around here, clearing creep, something like that. Cure just keeping them at home for now. Don't know if he scouted the Roach Warren. I mean, generally speaking, I feel like if I can guess what Dark is doing, Cure probably has a good idea of what Dark is doing. And I don't think we're going to see anything too crazy today in terms of builds from these guys. There's a big tournament happening in really just a few hours with a lot of these players playing in it. So we might see players keep those fancy builds reserved a little bit for that big one and just use the more standard play. Dark going for like a Roach Max. It's pretty standard Dark. Infestation Pit finishing up here for Dark though. And a Hydra Den. Okay, so this isn't just going to be pure Roach. He's got a backup. He's going into higher tech. Getting into a hive, getting up towards pathogen glands even. And up towards lurkers. Cure's 1/1 is finishing up. Well, he doesn't really have anything out on the map to do anything with it. And Dark's been a lot slower to get that drone explosion than I had expected. He's staying on a lower drone count to get more units out, to get these bases up. And because he's just teching behind this, that's totally fine for Dark. He seems very content to go into late game. Cure, not really thinking about late game right now. And you know what Dark's army doesn't have is a lot of anti-marine. Until Infestors come out, I don't think we have any out yet. Pathogen Glands is nearly finished, but no Infestors on the way. There's no Banelings here. And there's a lot of Marines out of Cure right now. The army supply is in favor of Cure. He's going to siege the tanks up. I think Dark was caught a little off guard by this. I love this little Roach squad pulling some of those Marines away. Lings coming in now, but they hit the front lines where all the Marines are. Oh, Dark might just not have enough here. Cure really trying to take advantage of the fact that Dark was not really prepared for this, and the lack of Banelings is so painful. That being said, Dark's just going to let this base go down. A bunch of Lings popping out. Cure can't push too far forward. 19 Roaches on the way. This is not what Dark wanted to make at this point. But if he can kill Cure's army, I think he'll be quite happy with that situation. Cure's trying to reinforce right now. Dark trying to take advantage of the fact those reinforcements are not yet here. Grabs a siege tank. Gonna push back in with the Roaches at the ready. There's a lot of low-tech units Dark is making right now, though. He was really ready to tech forward. He is still getting some upgrades, though. He's got the Lurker upgrades on the way. Just not quite getting those units out yet. Cure continuing to pressure, but he is just kind of chilling back here right now. Fourth base isn't quite done yet for him, but he's kept Dark on 4 bases, so I think he's feeling all right with it. Dark's going to come in from the bottom side as well. Does bile down 2 of the siege tanks. Going to lose a few Roaches and a few Ravagers for it. But the lack of siege tanks makes it a lot harder to stay here. The bio is very powerful, though, and I'm very surprised we haven't seen any Banelings or Infestors out of Dark. He's had Pathogen Glands for a while. He's now getting them out. Maybe just not mining enough gas to keep the Ravager count up and get those Infestors out. But 1 or 2 good fungals here, and Cure is going to be in a lot of trouble. So he's got to be very aware that those Infestors are going to be out soon. The Biles are really good at zoning But Cure's army wins this fight, I think, right now. Roach Ravagers doesn't trade super well against Bio. And Cure's thinking the same thing. He dives forward, but there's the first fungal. It's not bad. I think Cure's feeling all right about this situation. 5 lurkers are morphing. And once those get burrowed, it's going to make it a lot harder for Cure. The Bio can split and kill lurkers. Bio definitely not terrible against the lurkers, but he still has to be a little bit careful as those spines will come in and just, oh, they just make mincemeat of this Bio, and Cure loses a bunch of his Bio support for these tanks. Suddenly this army is feeling kind of small, and I think he's just going to lift up and get on out of here. He's got a big army behind this. He's got Ghost coming out. 3-3 is on the way for both players, but suddenly Dark hits a bit of a power moment here. With the Vipers coming out, with the Lurkers out, there's even that one Infester that eventually will have energy to do something. And Cure's got to siege these tanks up. I like the split on the siege tanks, but the Yoinks are going to make 2 of those tanks completely useless. Biles on the 3rd tank as well to take it down. Oh, the Banshees, though. There is literally nothing that shoots up here. All right, Dark backs up. He forgot to bring some Hydras with this. He's building 3 right now, and their purpose is going to be to kill the Banshees. I mean, what a move from Cure. To bring those Banshees back, to have the presence of mind to realize, hey, you don't have any Hydras with this army. I'm just going to bring the Banshees over. Forces Dark away, and it's only temporarily, but it gives Cure the breathing room he needs. He's going to build some turrets. His 4th base is completely up and running. He's got a 5th and a 6th CC. Some more tanks out. The Ghosts are out. And this is so important that Cure now has Ghosts out. That makes it a lot harder for Dark to get this kind of damage done. EMPs can go down to the Vipers. Snipes, of course, on Vipers or Lurkers. Even Ravagers are good targets for Snipe. And the Banshee's continuing to get damage done. We're 12.5 minutes into this game. And the Banshee's just forced to cancel on the 6th base and killed the drone. I mean, these Banshees have already really, really paid for themselves 2 or 3 times over at least. Dark is getting into burrow. He's building a Bane nest. Just that casual 13-minute Baneley nest timing. Adrenal Glands is halfway done. Time to put down the bait nest, right? Oh my god, again, these Banshees continuing to just chip away at damage a little bit here and there. So annoying for Dark. Where are the Hydras? Where are those 2 or 3 Hydras that were made for this purpose? Oh my god. Oh, the Lurker gets saved. I actually can't believe Dark saved that. The unburrow, reburrow, the last Banshee shots just barely don't connect. Beautifully done. Oh my god, can he take this base down? He's going to force a cancel on this base. Down it goes. Cancels it. He replants it, but I mean, what nice moves from Cure. Now, Cure's moving around the top side. Oh my god, he's got Vikings here, so he can go for the triple drop into the main base. In the meantime, he's got sensor towers to spot where Dark is coming from. He's going to see that his army is killing the rocks. He's got his Ghost back at home. But the triple drop is coming in. I don't think there's Ghost with it. It looks like it's just Marine Marauder. 1 going down to this base, the other 2 hitting the main. This is a one-way trip, I think, for all of these units. But they can get a lot of damage done. Dark was on the other side of the map, and even with the Zerglings, thankfully the Hydras do clean this up. But the Hive is going to go down. Great target fire from Cure to grab that Hive. And now just going to take as good of a fight as he can. Excellent positioning to kill all of these Lings that are out front. Bile's pretty good, but these units already did what they needed to. Losing that Hive is super painful. We're going to see a lair morph immediately for Dark. But he can't build Vipers until that Hive is done again. That's kind of the only thing here. He's already got the Greater Spire on the way. All the rest of the tech is already down. But he can't build Vipers, and actually, until the lair is done, he can't build any more Overseers. Not really important, but it's good to think about every now and then. We have officially gotten to the late game, though. Cure's got 5 bases up. It's 84 to 83 workers. Dark's got his entire half of the map covered in creep, as well as every single base taken on his side of the map. I'll be honest, I'm a little worried for Dark. Or for Cure, rather. Excuse me. Dark's late game is second to none. As far as I'm concerned, when it comes to his Zerg player, he's got the best late game. His spellcaster control is so insanely good. It's such a difficult army to control. And Dark, time and time again, is just so insanely good at it. And it's going to be tough for Cure, I think, to fight against this. Now, Cure's gone pretty much completely away from bio. He is into what we call spooky mech right now, which is where you have ghosts and mech units, and that's it. He's getting into Liberator range and trying to get some of those Liberators out. I love the ring of turrets around his base here, as well as the sensor tower to keep any Nidus worms out, things like that. Ooh, I love that Dark is taking this base. This is not his base. This is Cure's base. But if Dark can get the creep up here and maybe even mine some minerals, it's more of a zoning thing than anything. I don't even think he really wants to mine the minerals. But if he can keep Cure back, right, it keeps the pressure off of Dark a little bit. That base might die a bunch of times, but... Piles down the turrets. He's being annoying up here. Oh my god, the Banshees. The Banshees come back in. Fungal will finish it off, but that's hilarious. Man, those Banshees just stuck around all game. Cure probably didn't want them anymore. Gets rid of them. And in fact, shooting down a couple of medevacs here. We have Ignite Afterburners on the way for the medevacs. Thor's on the way. Some lurkers killing some SCVs. Liberators push them out. Are we going to see some nukes? I feel like I'm ready for some nuclear launches here. Yes, and actually one is queued up on this Ghost Academy right as Cloak finishes. And I think nukes are a great way to fight back against Dark, who, again, his late game is just so good. The army engagements tend to go his way more often than not. And he will just chip away at you. He's such a patient player. He does not overcommit. He doesn't get impatient and just kill everything. Oh, good kill on that. These little mineral differences might mean a lot later. But Dark is just such a good late game player. And hey, look at that. He's like, oh, you're focused down there? All right. I'll come on up here. Force you to lift that CC. He's going to make him lift it again. Liberator gets a kill, but in the meantime, Dark hitting on the bottom side. Does look like there's enough here to buy a little bit of time at least, but Cure forced to lift and move this CC away. And that means that he's really far away from being able to take this base. He really wants to take that base. This is just turning into a planetary right here. Nuke getting launched. Dark repositioned some of those spores, but yeah, okay, it looks like he's spotted where that nuke is. Creep tumor is going down, and some changelings. Those nukes are tough. They really force Dark to look all over his map, make sure he finds where that spot is. I hope we see more nukes coming out of Cure. I'd love to see even double nukes, triple nukes. I haven't seen a lot of Terran players go for the nuke option against Dark. I'm sure he handles it quite well, but it still feels like a good option for Cure. That being said, nukes are not free. They are not actually very cheap. They're pretty expensive. Maybe not for the damage they do, but... Ooh, Dark gonna try to come in for a flank. It looks like... I'm gonna try to jump on this. 3 siege tanks, though, and a planetary here. Yoinks one of the tanks forward, but actually that tank just doing a bunch of damage in the meantime. All the tanks get yoinked. Thor needs to get over here. Nice kill on the planetary. Couple of snipes don't quite connect. Dark gets out of there. It wasn't the cheapest trade for Dark, but killing 3 tanks, killing that planetary defense. Really, really nice. You're going to try to push forward on the top side while Dark's army isn't necessarily all around. Dark does still have a lot of army nearby, though. Cure finding his way in here, kind of working his way into this little crevice on top of the hill where maybe he can zone out this top base. And if Cure can kill this top base, that's really, really nice for him. It looks like he's going to be able to. But at the same time, Dark says, I don't think you've got enough to defend your base then. And this is a really important base for Cure, just in terms of keeping his natural safe, keeping his production safe. And Dark is just starting to smash right on through it, kills the orbital command, flooding Lings on top of this. The Lings will run into a bunch of ghosts, unfortunately for them. And Dark is losing a lot. Neural's going down, though, on the Thors and Siege tanks. Oh, man, these tanks doing a lovely job for Dark, but they do get back to Cure. Dark pulls back. Let's take a look at what the trades looked like on that one. Cure did kill more. He did kill more stuff. So you know what? That was not a good trade for Dark. Granted, he has, generally speaking, been mining more this entire game. But he's been mining longer, too. So yes, he's got this big bank. Yes, he's able to remax. But Cure still has more minerals at a lot of his bases. Dark, though, I love this. Just taking these bases that are supposed to be Cure's, so he can take inefficient trades more easily, smashing through with Lings and Banes, keeping Cure's army supply down. Cure does still have a lot of army, though. But he's going to lose this base. He's going to lose all the SCVs at this base. Gets completely routed, and the creep spread is going to go right underneath it now. Beautifully played by Dark. To reinforce with those cheap units, get the big kills, and now he's going to full tech switch. And this is one of the strongest things that Zerg can do. 16 Corruptors on the way. Those are going to be a bunch of Broodlords. I think he'll keep some Corruptors maybe to push away the Vikings, but Cure's anti-air is not huge right now. He does have more Ghosts on the way. He's got a bunch of Ghosts out. Those can be quite strong. But I just love, love, love this move from Dark. We see a bunch of scans going down, trying to figure out what Dark's going for, but he's not going to spot the Broodlords, and that's really crucial. Cure doesn't know exactly what Dark's doing behind this, so he's just got to try to cover all of his bases, and that's a dangerous place to be. Cure covering his base here. It looks like Dark's going to move probably to the north side with these Broodlords. And again, try to push that base away. He knows this base still isn't here. He's got the creep spread up on the high ground to see it. He's got this base mining, which is, it's just so important for Dark to have this base mining. He's got so much extra money coming in, and he's stealing money from what is technically Cure's side of the map. He's going to drop Nidus Worms on the top side and the bottom side just so he can reinforce more easily. Cure has no idea where this army is. It looks like he's scanned it now, so he's going to get set up down here, but he's got a lot of siege tanks, and the Broodlords are itching to send some Broodlings down so that these siege tanks can get the friendly fire. Big anti-armor missile on the Broodlords. The Vikings doing a good job, but they get fungled and parasitic bombed, and they are all going to go down. The Ghosts are super far back, and Dark pushes the front lines away very, very quickly. Cure still has a decent army here, but he's not really putting pressure on the base right now. Dark is happy to wait for the next round of units to come out. He's happy to wait for some more energy on the Vipers, on the Infestors. He's even got Queens here to help transfuse, and Cure decides to just pull back, waiting for some more units, waiting for those Thors to come out. Thors are actually so good against Broods, but I don't know if it's going to be enough against the amount of Broodlords that are here. There's 13 of them. That's a lot of Broodlords. They're starting to hit the main base. There's just no defense against this from Cure right now. Liberators sieging up in the main to try to kill the Broodlings, but they don't kill them quick enough. These Broodlings are just doing damage, and of course they're just free, so who cares about some Broodlings dying? Cure trying to move to the top side now, but just walking into lurkers. He's got to slow push this, which just buys Dark so much time to get back over there and get a defense going. Queens are popping out of the Night Swarm, which maybe was a mistake, but at least buys Dark a little bit more time. Broodlord's coming across. That gets scanned by Cure. He's got to back out of here. Nothing in this army shoots up. Absolutely none of this shoots up. There's one Liberator that I guess technically shoots up sometimes. Tank run by Liberator. This is really nice. Actually, a lot of drones going down. Dark losing 18 of them. But I just don't think it really matters. He's got so much money in the bank. He's still got quite a bit of mining. Cure is finding any damage he can. He can take a good trade off the back of this. Maybe able to get something done. And you know what? There are Thors here. There are ghosts here. Liberator's killing some of the infestors, but oh man, an excellent fungal to start things off. There's so many infestors underneath here. It's so hard to chase this backwards. And Dark is just doing some hit and run, getting some damage done, trying to take good trades. Tanks are now walking down here alone. And the Lings, these 3/3 Adrenal Lings should make short work of the siege tanks. It's a lot of dead supply right there for Cure. However, he did force the Broodlords back. Dark, I don't actually know. He's lost 3 Broodlords, but he's still up at 13. 19 Banelings on the way. Of course, the Banelings can smash into the Hellbats, which are really, really helpful against the Broodlings. Another excellent position here from Dark. Fungals the SCVs. Knurls a Thor. And doesn't really get too much done with that Thor Knurl, but it's kind of fun to see. Surprisingly few Vipers here out of Dark. I feel like the Yoinks could be really, really powerful against this many Thors. Scans will go down, so the Infestors will be able to be spotted. Dark is just trying to slowly whittle away at this. Cure lost 20 SCVs. He's down to 27 workers. His army is huge. It is insane. And the one thing I feel like Dark might be worried about is Cure winning a fight so decisively with such a big army that he can just push despite having very little mining behind it. He's still got 2 full bases as well, so if he's able to push at any point and get a good fight going, Dark might be in a little bit of trouble. Oh, Cure's going to go for it, but there's a lot of Banelings here. He tries to split, but some Fungals will hold him in place. Dark decides to pull back, though. He doesn't want to overcommit with these ground units. Just sending out a few Broodlings, taking little bits of trades here and there, chipping away at Cure's army, doing a little bit of damage. Because every time he does that, it's better for Dark. Cure is just going to be much slower to reproduce his army. He doesn't have a ton of mining right now. Mining is still heavily in favor of Dark, who, despite only having 51 drones, is still nicely mining all around the map here, including at a base that really should be Cure's. How do you handle this as Cure, man? This army is so, so scary. Still so many Infestors here. I think there's still a Viper around. Bunch of Broodlords, bunch of Zerglings and Banelings, even some Lurkers left over. The scariest thing is that Dark can use all of this to nearly its fullest potential. He's just so, so strong with these spellcasters. Lingbane run by does get thwarted for now. Where are those Broodlords? Okay, the Broodlords are over here with the Infestors. EMP on a few of the Infestors. So the tanks are important. You want the tanks to focus down the Infestors that try to get the Knurls and the Fungals off. Same with the Ghosts. If you can just kill all the Infestors, the Broodlords aren't nearly as scary on their own. It's the combination that really does it. Some Blinding Clouds going down here. Did see a big EMP on those Infestors again. Not a ton of energy left on them. Cure is still maxed. I mean, he's still holding on. He had a big bank as well. This counterattack looks like it's going to do a little bit more this time as the Banelings smash into the tanks and Hellbats. The scan's a little bit late to kill these lurkers. The Lings are doing quite a bit here. I think the Thors might be able to actually clean this up, though. Thor is pretty good against lurkers. So Dark will have to pull back. Cure's been taking good trades. It's just that I don't know if it's really going to end up being good enough for the amount of mining that Dark has done versus the amount of mining Cure has done. Dark is still mining from these bases, despite Cure trying to push him away and building some drones, things like that. Just hasn't been enough. Dark's mining has been good enough to allow him to take this deficit of trades. Because really what Cure wants to do here is trade super cost efficiently until Dark runs out of money. That's kind of his only hope at this point, or to take one just like really sick fight and push forward, but I don't think Dark's going to let that happen. Dark so far has been really good about not taking an awful fight. Man, that is an insane looking blinding cloud. Oh man, units coming in from the back as well. Some Neurals going down. A lot of Infestors are dying right now, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to justify how much Cure just lost. So much of his army going down there. And Dark is still nearly maxed here with 25 Hydras on the way to replenish what was lost. He's just going to remax with these Hydras. They're not the best units in the world, but they do hit everything, and they turn into lurkers. That's pretty damn good. Corrupt is trying to kill the Liberators. It's not really working, though. Thors are trying to push forward. I just feel like even if Cure is able to clean this up, there's going to be a remax. It's going to do way too much damage. Broodlord count starting to get eaten into a little bit. I think Dark's totally fine with losing this ground army, though, if he can just get the Broodlords out of the main. And Cure's losing all of his production. This looks like just about it, guys. Cure's down to 24 workers. He's trying to rebuild his army with what production he still has, but it's so little right now, and Dark is building 24 lurkers behind this. He is just going into the next phase. He says you don't have enough to just keep on producing like this, and he's going to build this big, beefy ground army off the back of this. Again, Thor's not too bad against lurkers, but there isn't really any ground unit that can stand up to this many lurkers. My God. He's just going to pop in. He's going to burrow them. I will say there's no answer against the Liberators right now, which is maybe a bit of a problem for Dark, but he's stopping mining at such a crucial base for Cure. Cure's mining is limited to just a few mineral patches. Yeah, he's just going to tap out. He realizes he's not going to be able to replenish his army and keep the fight going. Dark, once again, outlasts the Terran in the late game. What an insane game. It's one of those like oppressive things. I would hate to be in a late game against Dark because, man, it's just got to be so disheartening. Every time you fight, every engagement you take, everything you try to do just gets shut down because he's so good. What a game. What a game indeed. I hope the PvP was good, Nate. We'll get you into game 2 of this one. We almost went into the game with Steadfast in the player slot. Not really what we were looking for. But, I mean, I'd be down to watch a Steadfast Dark match. I'm down for that. It's maybe not in the middle of the Dark Cure match. All right, we're getting into game 2. We got all our casters in here. It seems that Hero took down Classic in the meantime. So the winner of this will be facing Hero in the grand finals. We got to see who that is first. Let's hop into game 2 to determine whether this man will be moving to the finals, or if we're going to a game 3. Spawning in the upper left-hand corner of Neo Humanity, we have the Dragon Kite Sea Gaming Zerg player in the red. Dark. His opponent in the lower right, representing the former Team NV, the Blue Terran, Cure. Hoping we see a, I'm just kind of hoping for a different game. I feel like the late game so heavily favors Dark. I want to see Cure maybe get a bit more aggressive early on. I think that's one of the things that makes life a lot harder for Dark. Last game, it felt like Cure did get kind of aggressive, right? He had that nice push, but it was pretty straightforward. It was like Hellions into Banshees, kind of just chilling, and then a big push. And I feel like that played right into what Dark was looking for. The push did a bit of damage, but Dark was already getting into Hive. He was already getting into Lurkers. And I think he was just like, all right, that's cool. Kill a base. That's fine. We're going to late game, so take that base. Kill some creep. Push me back a little bit. I'll take some bad trades because these Lurkers are coming out, and you're going to have to go into late game off the back of this. There's not really much you can do. Cure was kind of stuck. He didn't have the ability to go for drops and keep the pressure on. It's one of the things that I see players like Clem do. Beyond, I think, is a good example of somebody who will just keep the pressure onto Dark and can really make it difficult for Dark to get where he wants to. Again, that late game is so favored for Dark against anybody that I would never want to go against him as a professional player in the late game. Now we should talk about this game a little bit. By we, I mean me. As we have Zerglings out here for Dark. He's just holding the watchtowers right now. It looks like he's trying to keep an eye on where the Reaper is. And he's going to see this Reaper, send the Lings in immediately to try to maybe get a delay on this CC. Now Reaper's going to see those two Lings, and these Marines maybe need to move down to kill these Lings down here. SCV getting pulled off, but it does die. Ooh, Marine's in a little bit of trouble. They should win this fight, though. Nice. SCV comes into body block. Marine wins the fight. Those are the only Lings, so the CC will finish up, but a slight delay here. And we see that Dark is going for the mining through the wall, very fast third base situation here. This is the build that I've seen him do on this map a number of times. He's done this against a few Terrans. I think he did it against Cure. I know he did it against Gumiho. And it was this opening. It was the Lings first, pool first, into a very fast third base. And this is kind of what I was expecting him to do last game. But I think we're definitely going to see it this time. We're going to see a heavy drone count out of Dark. He's going to just skyrocket. And I think we are likely to see that big Roach Ravager swell if he feels that's the right thing to do. It's possible he was considering it last game, but decided to go for the tech instead. We'll just have to keep an eye out and see if Dark is changing it up. And I have a feeling we're seeing that Roach Ravager push this game. The 80 drone Roach Ravager max out, which has just been deadly to a lot of Terrans. And now I don't exactly know what Cure does to defend it. I feel like you have to get in there and get drone damage done, but that really only delays Dark. You've got to do a little bit more than that. You've really got to threaten Dark threaten what he's got going for him. I do like this little Hellion movement. These two Hellions are going to dive down from the top. Drone's going for a split, though. Really nice split. Actually catches one of the Hellions. A few drones will die, but it looks like just 3 or 4, 5. These Hellions, in the meantime, not really able to get anything done in the natural. We still have no ling speed, by the way. Dark is only just now mining gas. So it's all about the queens in defense here. This is actually where something like a 2-1-1 opening, I feel like, could be really nice against what Dark is doing. Because the Stim Marines against slow lings and just some queens for defense, I feel like might have a better chance than Hellions, but Cure's doing a good job. He is getting drone damage. Look at the worker count. It's still, I think, a lot closer than Dark would want it to be. He wants to explode into drones. He wants to get a huge drone count as soon as possible. And if Cure's recognized this, he's got more bio on the way. I think bio is the correct answer. And I think that might be why we saw Dark end up just going into lurkers. As we saw last game, Roach Ravager just doesn't trade that well against bio. There were lings in front, but with no Banes, with no Infestors or anything to really take advantage of the heavy amount of bio that Cure had, Dark needed to wait for the lurkers to come. And that allowed Cure to get some damage done. Obviously wasn't enough to end up winning the game, but it did force Dark's hand. It forced him to get into those lurkers as quick as he could, get them out right away. And that might be something Cure tries to take advantage of this game. Again, if he's able to get to that same position. But we see Dark already on 76 workers. This is what I'm talking about. Yeah, he's going to 80 very quickly here. Roaches are coming out. Ling speed is on the way now. He's got that 1-1. But it is going to be +1 melee. So we might see a Bane Nest go down behind this as well. This might be Dark changing it up a little bit. The +1 melee is a really interesting choice when you're building nothing but roaches. The Banshees, again, getting some damage done, but staying alive. They were really crucial last game for Cure. Actually stopped him from potentially just dying kind of early on to that push from Dark. But I like this from Cure. I think he's got to keep the pressure on. There are quite a few roaches out right now. I'm worried it might be a little late. Dark's already on 80 workers. At this point, he's kind of okay with trading roaches for Marines. And as nice as creep spread is, it's not really as necessary with a big Roach Ravager composition like this. Marine's getting friendly fired by the Widow Mine. Second Widow Mine doesn't even get burrowed in time. And Dark very easily pushes that away. Banshees doing their Banshee job here and just killing a bunch of stuff. Killing a bunch of creep tumors. And some of the roaches and ravagers too. Oh, there is a Bane Nest. The Bane Nest. No Bane speed just yet, so Dark might have to get on top of that if he wants to get into some Bane. He's got 28 lings on the way. He's on 80 drones. There's nothing but units coming out. The Hive is about to finish. 4 Infestors about to pop as well. And this is feeling like what Dark wanted to do last game when that push from Cure hit. Cure's not pushing this time. He's just defending his third. He may have surmised that there's some attack coming and wants to just be as defensive as possible. I wouldn't hate if he landed this CC here if Dark does decide to push. But it looks like Dark's going to wait a little bit. He's not coming immediately. He's building Banes. He'll eventually realize that he didn't get Bane speed. Probably as soon as he moves these Banelings, and he'll start it up. But he's got Vipers coming out. He's letting those Infestors gather some more energy. Adrenal starting. He needs that main speed, though. Main speed, pretty good. And Cure says, all right, enough sitting around. He's going to send out some medevacs full of units. Try to get something done here. The roaches come to the watchtower at just the right moment. Hey, there's Bane speed. Dark's pretty good at this game. Spire going down behind this as well. Dark once again getting set up for that late game scenario. Not going into the lurkers this time though, at least not yet. No Hydra Den, no lurker den. Getting ready for a late game without those. But he's got all the spellcasters out, and the Ghost Academy I think just finished. You know what? Great trade against the Lings with the Marines, but the Parasitic Bomb is so good. Bane Speed not being done, a little bit painful here. As the tanks get some good hits and the Widow Mines get some good hits. You're going to drop into the main base with the double drop now. Dark pretty far away, so he's on his way back. These Marines can get good trades with the Lings, kill a few drones. Got to be careful with the Spore Crawler, but... Ooh, targeting on the Banes as well. Fungal catches a few of these units, but the rest of them do get away for now. Oh, he's got to get out. He's got to get out. Oh, but he's pushing in the bottom, too. This is what I'm talking about. I love this from Cure. This is feeling like a much stronger game, too, from Cure. Taking advantage of some of the things that he wasn't able to last game. I think Dark might be able to get the kill on this with the double Parasitic Bomb and the Fungal. But losing base is already kind of painful. You know what? These Marines are going to trade okay with some of these units, even killing the Spore Crawlers that we're trying to build here. Meanwhile, this double drop is still chilling up here. Oh, man, but Dark is just killing these drops so efficiently. And now he's like, hey, you just lost a lot of bio. And you have 2 medevacs up on my main base. I'm going to try to counterattack. There's plenty at home to defend. Cure comes in, drops a lot of these Marines down. I think he's probably just going to lose all of this. But again, it pulls Dark back. Dark is chilling on 4 bases right now, but Cure's actually got a 5th up and running before Dark. Dark does kind of desperately need another base here. He's got a good army supply, but 74 workers. He's lost quite a lot of them. Fungal? No, no fungal? All right, just let that medevac get home, I guess. Ooh, tower's getting dropped down. That was weird. The way the debris fell was kind of weird, but Cure gonna try to push through one side. This stops him from getting flanked, which is kind of nice. He's got Ghosts out now as well. He can start getting some snipes off, get some EMPs perhaps on the Infestors. There are Vipers around. There they are. 9 Broodlords morphing right now. I don't know if Cure got the scout off on those with that last scan. I feel like he didn't quite hit them. Ooh, snipes going down, but the Ghosts getting killed. Cure's going to realize very shortly that there are Broodlords being morphed right now, and that is not how you want to learn that. There are some Vikings out. Going to try to push these away a little bit, but Cure's going to unsiege immediately all of these tanks. Well, not quite all the tanks. He does, again, focus down the Infestors, focus down the Queens with the siege tanks, but he's going to lose a lot of stuff in the meantime. Fungal's going down, Snipes going down. Broodlords do get pushed back for now. But again, Dark's control of these late game armies is legendary, and he's doing a great job chipping away at this army, pushing him back, and kind of trying to bait him forward so he can land the Fungals. It's a decent Fungal there, but I do hear some snipes going off. More Fungals coming in. Dark is going for the actual push here. Now that he's killed a large amount of the siege tanks, he's coming in with the ground army. There's not a lot of bio left either, and it feels like Cure might just not have enough here to hold on. He is killing a lot of the Lings and Banes, but the Queens underneath, there's still some Ravagers underneath as well. And the Broodlords continue to push forward, killing command centers, killing SCVs. Another Brood gets sniped, but there's still 6 here, shoving out these free Broodlings and just cleaning up the reinforcements. And Cure, despite, I think, looking very good this game, just wasn't 100% ready for the Broodlord switch when it hit. GG gets called. Dark takes a 2nd game in a row, looking virtually unstoppable there against Cure, and it will be Dark moving on to the grand finals.